welcome to Free Hit. ये free भी है और hit भी है because we've got the one and only Ayaz Memon with me, Anand Narasimhan here on Cricket Next. Ayaz bhai, namaste. How are you?
Hi Anand, very well, thanks, and good to see you again.
मैं कह
Good
रहा
to
हूँ खुश तो
resume this
बहुत हो
innings,
गया.
as they say.
Yes, yes. And मैं कह रहा हूँ खुश तो बहुत हो गया. आप इंडिया जीत रहा है, कोहली रन बना रहा है, छक्के पड़ रहे हैं, चौके पड़ रहे हैं, विकेटें गिर रही है.
I think ये जो साल था, it ended quite well and has begun extremely well. अगर आप results देखें, नतीजे देखें, so we finished the
Yeah.
year in Bangladesh where we, despite losing the ODI series, we won the test matches. So मुझे लगता है कि कहीं ना कहीं there is a certain sense of कि ठीक है गाड़ी पटरी, it's come back on the rails, but there are many loose strings still which need to be tied up,
Yeah.
so to speak. एक तो form
We'll
है
talk
कुछ
about it
players
one
का.
by one.
We'll talk about it. Yes.
Yeah, but overall, are you happy that Kohli is back among the runs and not just one odd hundred? लग गए अब तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि भाई he's just back into his groove and somewhere the energies are back. In your long years as a sports journalist, have you seen every batsman go through this? 2, 3 years, 4, 5 years of peak form, and then 2, 3 years of in the doldrums, and then coming back with second wind, and then sometimes somebody gets a third wind also. But with Virat Kohli, the the uh, the way he scored runs, prolific way, the matter of scoring runs, he's what 170 innings less than Sachin in terms of the averages and the scores that he's racketed up, getting up to 45 ODI hundreds and all of that.
Anand, to be honest, I haven't. I mean, it's been a spectacular career. There's no doubt about it. But the kind of slump he had, 2.5, 3 years almost in all formats, virtually,
Hmm.
was something quite astounding, if I might say.
Hmm.
I've seen the great Gavaskar, the great Tendulkar go through a trough, Rahul Dravid, all of them. I mean, every major batsman in the world has gone through a trough. But I can't remember anybody going through such a prolonged trough. And that's what
Hmm.
makes his comeback also equally amazing because he's back with a bang. I mean, till the T20 World Cup or the Asia Cup before that, it seemed, hey, क्या इसका career खत्म हो रहा है यहीं पर? And there was such a clamor कि we've had enough of Kohli, take him out of this format, that format, maybe all formats. Then he got that 100 in the Asia Cup, and after that, he just seems to have gotten better and better. I think the only thing which he's probably missed out on in the last few weeks is not getting enough runs in red ball cricket. He had 2 test matches against
Yeah,
Bangladesh, and I'm sure he must be
correct.
thinking to himself that yeah, वहाँ पर भी runs बन जाते थे. It would have really capped. I mean that lead trot
Hmm.
is obviously now a thing of the past, but सोने पे सुहागा हो जाता.
देखिए प्लेयर्स के साथ हुआ है कि कैप्टेंसी भी जा रही है, फॉर्म भी जा रहा है, उम्र भी बढ़ रही है, बट ही इज द ओनली प्लेयर हु हैज टू आल्सो डील विद द पैंडेमिक. तो
Yes.
यू विल हैव टू गिव हिम थोड़ा सा लीवे देयर दैट क्रिकेट भी नहीं हुआ, फिटनेस भी नहीं हुआ, एक्शन भी नहीं हुआ. समटाइम्स व्हाट हैपेंस इज 6-8 months you play a lot of matches and then you're able to grind out and work this, get out of this rut. Or somewhere do you feel that this time off also perhaps helped him stretch his career and gave him some breathing time to find his rhythm back and find his form back?
It's a bit of both. Perhaps it's difficult to say how much weightage one can give to what was the break good enough, big enough? Should he have taken it earlier? Ravi Shastri suggested about 7-8 months back when he was going through the horrors that he should just take time off, and his brain fried, if I might use that phrase which he used, and then come back more refreshed, rejuvenated. He didn't take that time off. He played the IPL, didn't make a success of it, and then he's just come back a completely different person from the one we had seen for the past 3 years, and very much like the person we knew for the 7-8 years before that.
What about Rohit Sharma? You feel
I
that
think
his career
Rohit,
somewhere perhaps is going to pause faster than some of the others?
I mean, he's becoming a bit of an enigma, isn't he, Anand? Because he's such a fantastic batsman. We all know the kind of quality player that he is. I haven't seen any batsman play so late in recent times. We've seen, guys. We've had some terrific players like BVS Lakshman, Mohammad Azharuddin. Before that, the ability to play very late, play very stylishly, and yet make big scores. And of course, what Rohit had was the the power hitting ability, which neither
Yeah.
Azhar nor Lakshman had. But he seems to have run into a problem with his fitness. I mean, he's He's playing a series and missing a few matches, then playing another few matches, then missing something else, missing some matches, and in all formats. So it's been a stop-start scenario for him for the last year, which does not help any player's rhythm. And certainly, as a captain of the
Hmm.
team, it also starts, I think, telling on the rest of the group. Not because he's
Hmm.
not wanting or the intent is not there or the messaging that he needs to send, the communication is not there, but it's just that the presence of the captain becomes so vital and so important because every time he's not there, you need somebody else to
Hmm.
lead the team. And then there's a bit of a kind of a new communication coming in. और यहाँ पर ये भी हुआ है कि the guy who's supposed to replace रोहित वो भी अनफिट हो रहे हैं जैसे कि
Correct.
राहुल कहीं हो गए कहीं शिखर धवन हो गए and so on
अभी
and so
श्रेयस
forth.
अय्यर हो गया है. अभी
अभी
श्रेयस अय्यर
श्रेयस
हो
अय्यर
गया.
हो गया ऋषभ पंत who was
हाँ, ऋषभ पंत हो गया.
touted
उसका तो
as
एक्सीडेंट.
the next possible next captain in white ball cricket वो भी injured है. So it's been injuries is one of the things which is boggling my mind. The number of injuries that we've had in Indian cricket over the past year
Yeah.
has been extraordinary. I mean, it's inexplicable the why so many players should be falling, just breaking down so rapidly, so easily, and so frequently. In the case of a Jasprit Bumrah, for instance.
Correct. But Jasprit Bumrah also was carrying the load for a while. He's played 5-6 years of non-stop cricket across all three formats. So somewhere it catches up. No, after some time the body will also say, "भाई मेरा भी time out है. भाई कितना गाड़ी चलेगा थोड़ा तो maintenance करना." So ऋषभ पंत का तो it is freakish injury that happened because he had a car accident that happened. So that's put paid to careers. So sometimes these things happen where you just can't look at it. Whenever I think about these freakish injuries, I just think about Manoj Tiwari. What a bright spark. Match खेलने से पहले injure हो गया, career खत्म हो गया, quite literally. Look at Prithvi Shaw. Test match, he was in a top form and he could have shown in Australia. He fractured, he hurt his leg, he got out. Then he's just been in and out of the team. Now he scored well in domestic, but उसको अब T20 में लिया है. अब वहां पे उसको क्या चांस मिलेगा कितना मिलेगा पता नहीं. संजू सैमसन once again, every time he gets back into the mix, into the groove, he falls ill or he falls injured, he gets injured, something or the other happens. So here somewhere, this is either you say lady luck or kismat, and that is that 1%, which way it swings you don't know. But also I am also trying to get into you that ask you this: is there too much of a chop and churn that is happening, or is this the right time to do all this khichdi so that finally we get to our biryani or pulao?
It's a again, it's a very pertinent question to which there's no clear answer. We tried all this chopping and changing in preparation for the World T20, and we didn't really make much headway, isn't it? Now,
Yeah.
apparently, one hears that there are 20 players identified for the ODI World Cup already. Now, does that mean you're not going to experiment with the others, or does it mean that there will be experimentation? This may be part of the core group. आगे चलते हुए देखते हैं कि कौन fit होता है कौन नहीं होता है. I think what needs to be done, Anand, is maybe, I mean, the ODI World Cup is about 8, 9, 10 months away. But आपको जल्द से जल्द ये एटलीस्ट डिसाइड करना होगा कि आपके 12-15 जो कोर ग्रुप के कौन है वो उनको आप खिलाते रहें, बिकॉज देन यू गेट अ सर्टन cohesion or cohesiveness which builds up in the team early. You're not leaving it till very late to decide what your playing level will be. Now, obviously, there will be, the idea of picking a squad of 17 or 18 is that you must have some maneuverability. किसी को injury हो गई, कोई
Correct.
बीमार हो गया, कोई out of form हो गया. For that, yes, that's why there's a squad and not just 11. But if you have uninterrupted, unending experimentation, then I think it sends or it throws things out of whack. And I think this is a lesson perhaps even Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma must have learned.
But as this game evolves, there are 2 points. Okay, so let's try and break this down on two aspects. So where do you stand on this thought process कि आप pitch के हिसाब से team बनाओ? So you have a pool of 14, 15 players. You don't have a set 11. Based on the pitch, you decide what your playing 11 would be. The other part is कि format के हिसाब से playing 11 बनाओ. So you still have a pool of 20 players, but उसमें से these will play T20s, these will play ODIs, and this lot will be either T20 and ODIs plus red ball cricket. Where do you stand on both these thought processes?
देखिए मेरे ख्याल से Anand, just to answer about the pitch. Now, in the case of the ODI World Cup, the tournament is in India. By and large, one knows the kind of pitches that you will get. where the itinerary will be there, the schedule will be there. Where India will know where they're playing their matches. They'll probably also know who the curators are and what kind of pitches are going to be prepared. Let's be upfront.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I don't think pitches should be a mystery. It may be for touring teams. It may be for the Aussies, for the English, though they've also been playing so frequently. Actually, pitch की mystery इतनी नहीं रही है जो पहले होती थी. If you're going overseas, perhaps it would be greater if you're going to Australia or England or somewhere else. Where the formats are concerned, now, I know we've had some discussion in the past. So I'm veering around to the view that the format could decide on the kind of players that you choose. Because
Hmm.
clearly it's emerging that you can't have, one size fits all kind of a situation, barring the very, amongst the rarest of rare players, a young Kohli,
Hmm.
a young Rohit Sharma, maybe currently a Rishabh Pant if he was fit. He's not right
Hmm.
now, or a Jasprit Bumrah till about a year back. These were guys who were all format certainties, so to speak. Now it's becoming. I
Hmm.
mean, you get a guy like Surya Kumar Yadav. Now I think he's actually
Yeah,
an all
Sky.
format certainty, or should be Sky. I mean, he's been included in the Aussie series at least for the first two tests because the guy is in such red hot form. You can't ignore him, whatever the format. You can't say
Correct.
इसको T20 ही खिलाएंगे हम. So they've got him into ODIs. He hasn't had the same success as T20s. We'll have to wait and see. But clearly, certain players are emerging as, because they themselves are so focused on that format and they're doing exceptionally well that, hey, you have to choose them for that format. You can't ignore them.
Hmm. You think captaincy in the T20 IPL has affected KL Rahul's batting in international cricket? Because it was very interesting. I was having this conversation, just general conversation with somebody, and said, "जब से वो," and it was a remark कि जब से वो T20 में कैप्टन बना है, उसका इंटरनेशनल में खेल खराब हो गया. I was like,
राहुल
अरे
का
ये
भी
तो
थोड़ा
coincidence है. But I mean, analysis को तो कुछ भी बोल सकते हैं. But I'm just asking you, sometimes does this happen? Is it possible with a player, or is it just purely rub of the green, form खराब है, or things don't go right for you?
well, rub of the green, of course, is the issue, and also he's had a bout of injuries and stuff like that. But ये भी है सही, Anand. What you're saying is right. He's been captain of his team in the IPL not for one season, but for different franchises for 3 or 4 seasons. And he's not been able to clinch the trophy. With his own form was
Hmm.
fantastic, but he can't, or he's been unable to lead the team to victory. It's also happened with Virat Kohli. He's had a
Yeah,
fantastic
yeah.
career as India captain, but in the IPL, it's drawn a blank. So कहाँ पर क्या fit होता है is difficult to say. But I think right now KL Rahul's the biggest need or the biggest demand from KL Rahul is runs and consistently
Yeah.
and across formats because he's also one of those players who was seen as a all format certainty. But either he is not playing one format or the other because of injury or illness or whatever, or not getting enough runs, and that's throwing. Your top
Hmm.
order has become is not getting settled in, so to speak.
Hmm. What do you think of Hardik Pandya as a captain, Ayaz bhai? I found him quite exciting. I found him somebody willing to take risks, very aware of the game, and somebody who's okay to lose as long as he sees his players, ripen in pressure situations. And it just looked like he was giving that extra long bout of confidence to an Akshar Patel, who found himself largely not getting that kind of a pat on the back from other captains. And कितने टाइम बाद एक bowling all-rounder captain बना है. आप सोचिए ना, एक ऑलराउंडर कैप्टन बना है. कपिल देव के बाद जसप्रीत बुमराह एंड हार्दिक पांड्या. जसप्रीत बुमराह हार्डली एक दो टेस्ट, उसके ज्यादा तो
Yeah,
उसके बाद तो नहीं हुआ. हार्दिक पांड्या सीम टू बी सम फैक्टर कि भाई इसको थोड़ा सा इसको खिलाओ यार, इसको कैप्टन करने दो थोड़ा. यू फेल्ट लाइक दैट?
I think you're absolutely. I think you're so right. I think what emerges to me is his game sense, his understanding of game
या.
situations, match situations. ही वो जो असेसमेंट होता है ना वो परख लेता है बहुत अच्छी तरीके से किसको कब लाना है कौन से बॉलर को लाना है and I think it's also to do with what he tells his bowlers and I mean in the IPL he's dealing with people of all kinds of nationalities and from different cultures but he's been able to get the best out of them and I think
Hmm.
and the fact that in the opening season his own first season as captain he won the title has just boosted his confidence enormously and then he's got the India captaincy so I think he's just made such rapid strides from a guy who last year looked like it was curtains for his career, not just his
या.
place, एक format खेलेगा या नहीं. No, he was one of those, Anand, who was a three format certainty for me, all format certainty for me. But then he broke down. his back gave way. Test may, if you want him to bowl 12, 15 overs, he's not capable. So he had to now necessarily focus on the shorter format, which is T20, and then from there build up to the ODIs, and possibly, I'm still hopeful that he'll make it back into the Test team, fit and able. I mean, imagine if he's fit to bowl, regularly 7, 8, 10 overs in a day. That would be fantastic from India's point of view. He's a terrific batsman, fantastic fielder, and now, if you have him on the field, the captain would really value his inputs.
क्या बात है यार भाई, देखो ना, हम लोग कब 15.5 मिनट बात किया अभी तक. We're going to have another 5, 7, 10 minutes of conversation. We've still not talked about bowling. Our concern, it's such a departure. It's a departure from the past. It's such a departure from, say, 3-4 years ago, where all we would talk about bowling कब ठीक करोगे यार, कब pace bowler आएगा, कब कोई बैग. We used to always talk about that. Never, batting was never such a big concern, but bowling always was. Now somewhere we just feel that there is such a huge repository of bowlers. And with also, I like Shivam Mavi may have been expensive, but you've given that guy a chance at the big stage. I really like the fact that Hardik told him to go out and have a hit and see how many can you hit, and he tonked 1 or 2 out of the park, and it just adds so much more to you. Do you feel that we are settled in all 3 formats as far as bowling is concerned? We've got Kuldeep there, we've got Washington Sundar, we've got Ravichandran Ashwin, we've got Yuzvendra Chahal, Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja will be back in action. He started training also, and he's done with all of managing Rivaba's election and all of that. So all those responsibilities are out of the way. So you think we've got perhaps the most settled bowling ever in our cricketing history across formats?
Settled pata nahi hai, but we've got plenty of bowlers. We've got plenty of options. Now, whether, for instance, the 2 notable absentees, you name one, which is Ravindra Jadeja, the other is Jasprit Bumrah. And these 2 guys were your, two best bowlers in the sense, one from the fast bowling department, the other from the spin department, though Ravichandran Ashwin is there in the 5-day format. But Jadeja was one of those who was in all format certainty, and he's not been around for a while now. But what we have is, you mentioned Shivam Mavi, if you watched him over the past 4-5 years in the IPL, he always stood out to me as somebody who was a very earnest, not just an honest cricketer, he was a little offbeat. His action is not conventional. He's not orthodox. Yeah. He works up good pace. He's one of these under-19, heroes who was taking his time to hit the big stage, so to speak. But hey, look, I think Hardik was very good with him and with Umran Malik. These 2 guys, in their own different ways. Magic. Umran is, his sheer pace is so unsettling for batsmen. Shivam Mavi with his unorthodox action, and he's got more skills where swing is concerned. These are bowlers who are looking of enormous value to India, at least in white ball cricket right now. And then you got Mohammad Shami, and then you got Chahal who's come back, and you got Kuldeep Yadav. I think he's been the big success story over the past couple of months, hasn't he, in white ball cricket? Because just picking up wickets here, there, everywhere against all kinds of opponents. It'll be interesting to see what he does against New Zealand, which is the #1 ranked team in ODIs, incidentally. So that'll be some sort of a challenge. But I'm still waiting. It's a big year ahead. Test series, when the World Cup coming up, and I'm really eager to see, and fingers crossed for Jasprit Bumrah to come back fit and strong, because with him in the attack, India just becomes or looks so much more formidable.
Yeah, but one good thing is we don't need to rush him back. We don't need to tell him कि भाई आजा fight है, आजा 2 over ही डाल दे पर आजा. We don't need to do that, because he's also in that stage of his career where if he does not recover fully and come back after recovering fully, he will break down again very fast. So that will perhaps hasten his career to an end. So we can afford to give him about 4-5 months, and perhaps till he feels that he can come and bowl consistently at 140-145 clicks.
Oh, absolutely. You can't rush him in at all. Because, you have to, in a sense, it might seem you have to put him in, handle him, with kids' gloves, so to speak, if I might use that expression. Whatever time it takes for you to come back to full fitness, take it and then come back. They announced that he was going to play in some of these matches, and they pulled him out in the last minute. It might seem odd because there was not enough explanation, but I think it's the right thing to do. If the doctors or the specialists are not confident, or the player himself is not confident or assured that he's fit enough, then I think you shouldn't play him. And I think that, look, you got options. There's Shami who's fit. There's Mohammad Siraj who's come along splendidly. You got Umran Malik,
Yeah,
you got Shivam
brilliant.
Mavi, and a host of other bowlers who are there. Even in the in the spin
Hmm.
department, Ravindra Jadeja not being there. But look at what Akshar Patel is doing, as an all-rounder.
Akshar Patel
It's
is good.
fantastic to watch. You got problem of when I say problem of plenty, it just shows how flush India is with talent. Rishabh Pant,
Hmm.
horrendous injuries at poor chap. I mean, we all wish him well and early recovery. But there's Ishan Kishan, there's Sanju Samson. आपके पास 4-5 wicket-keeper batsmen हैं. So
Correct.
there is a huge talent pool that one can pick from, turn to. That in itself can be a bit of a problem. Talent pool, the bigger it gets, it also creates a lot of headache for the selectors, for the coach, for the
Yeah.
captain. और ये आपको जल्द से जल्द रिजॉल्व करना पड़ेगा because this is something that as you build up towards the World Cup, see, time flies. The World Cup may be 10 months away now, but it'll soon be a month away, by which time the squad will be announced. And वो squad में कौन होगा, फिर you have to give enough
Yeah.
opportunities to people who are there now and then make the selections.
But you think this is like you said, no? ये problem of plenty में क्या है कि सबको गरम रखो. अगर सबको गरम रखो तो rotation करना पड़ेगा. Rotation करोगे तो हम लोग ही पूछेंगे rotate क्यों कर रहे हो? अब rotation नहीं किया तो हम पूछेंगे rotation क्यों नहीं कर रहे हो? उसको क्यों नहीं खिला रहे हो? So it's like damned if you do and damned if you don't. But
ये
now
तो
that we have 3 formats, I know, but I'm just adding to that, saying, is it also possible, or would you suggest that the BCCI think that when certain people are not part of the international scheme of things, they start playing India A, or they create a domestic calendar which keeps them warm, and they go back and play domestic cricket, and it keeps them warm, so that when they get called up for international duty, they're still hot of the coals.
Yeah, I mean, look, logic. That's logical, and to an extent they do it. I mean, India A tours or India under-25 tours, आजकल थोड़े से कम हो गए because of the pandemic. Otherwise, to be fair,
Yeah.
the tours were frequent. The BCCI was doing its best to put out these teams, send them to overseas tours, England, Australia, New Zealand, वगैरह वगैरह. That's where somebody like a Mohammad Siraj, came good and then got into the Indian team.
Yeah.
I think also there is the Big Dad IPL, which is there as a tournament where all these players participate. So that's the big tournament where it should keep them warm sufficiently. The only issue there is, of course, if there is workload management that has to be looked at, especially for very key players. So like a Jasprit Bumrah. Now, obviously the IPL becomes a very good platform for him to work himself up to full form and fitness after recovering. But he also needs to ensure that in that 50-day tournament, the workload doesn't become so much, or his franchise has to ensure that he goes into the World Cup not in the best of forms. So these are things that have to be tackled, I think, and tackled head on. I think this is where the conversation in Indian cricket, the communication between the BCCI, the franchises, the domestic teams, etc., all need to be all converging and saying, let's get our best teams for our biggest tournaments.
चलिए अयाज भाई, अब थोड़ा हेडलाइन मोमेंट भाई. हमारी क्रिकेट नेक्स्ट टीम को थोड़ा हेडलाइन छापने के लिए भी चाहिए ना, कि प्रमोट क्रिकेट नेक्स्ट फ्री हिट. हाउ वुड वी डू इट? सो लेट मी आस्क यू, इफ एवरीबody is fit and if everybody is available, who should be the captain of India's T20 team?
Currently, I think definitely Hardik Pandya. I mean, right now we've got
Hardik
signs
Pandya.
of
Who should be the
winds of change blowing strongly. I mean, there's no Rohit, there's no Virat in the T20 team against New Zealand.
I'm just saying who should be. You're saying Hardik Pandya. Who should be the captain of the ODI team?
If right now, if Rohit is fit and he's going to play, then you see him as the ODI captain for the World Cup. So you can't have somebody else till the World Cup unless he's ruled out of playing in the World Cup. Then you opt for another captain.
And like I said, condition is if everybody is fit and all things remain constant.
Then Rohit Sharma.
The next one, Test cricket.
Test cricket, Rohit Sharma.
Test cricket also Rohit Sharma.
Rohit Sharma. If he's fit and obviously if he's fit and good form, I don't see a choice or an option to him right now.
Who's the other option outside of Rohit Sharma in ODI and also in Test cricket? Who do you think? If Rohit is not available.
Outside of Rohit Sharma, you got a couple of options actually. KL Rahul, but again he has to be fit. or Hardik Pandya, give him the white ball charge almost entirely or entirely. Give him the one-day captaincy, the T20 captaincy as well as the ODI captaincy. In Test cricket, it gets a little complicated or a little complex because, the only other guy who one sees in the top order who's absolutely certain of his team at this point in time looks like Virat Kohli. But he doesn't want the captaincy. KL Rahul again has been in and out of the team, so unless he's certain of a place in the team, you can't turn towards him. Hardik is unfortunately not in the Test team, has not been, so we don't know. Bumrah had a couple of Test matches as captain. He is not yet back in the team. So, and Rishabh Pant got injured, so and he's going to be out of the game for a while. So, Test is actually a bit more complex. So I'm hoping that nothing's going to be wrong with the Rohit and he'll be the captain of the team.
Good. Well said there. And you picked out and you made the choices true. And I agree with you that in that Test arena, if one or two players get injured, we are looking at perhaps an empty cupboard as far as the captaincy material is concerned. So somewhere that remains a concern in the long format of the game. We never know when there's going to be a surprise that will be thrown. Final question, Ayaz bhai. One big concern or one big thing that you would like sorted in the next 2 or 3 months as far as Indian cricket is concerned? There is also the big thing that Viacom 18 has won the IPL women's rights. It's also encouraging to see. We hardly got time to speak about that. That 6 or 8 or the existing 10 franchises have also submitted bids for the IPL franchise. The bid money is 951 crores for the rights itself. So women's cricket is getting a huge impetus. And somehow, I know we're all excited to see the women in action. That should happen very soon. But coming back to men's cricket, one or two things which you think should be sorted soon. Final word.
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is make sure that your fitness program for all these players, 25, 30 players, is on course. I mean, you got a massive year. You got the World Test Championship coming up. Apart from the series against Australia, World Test Championship, which we should have, or we could have won in 2021, which we didn't. So there's an opportunity again. There's a World Cup coming up to be played in India. The pressure will be on India. You have to have your best team, your best 11, your best 14, 16 available. And then by the time that ends, you'll be about a few months away from the World T20 again. So I think fitness is the top priority. It's not the number of players or talent hai कि नहीं हमारे पास बहुत talent है. Can we get all the talent together and make sure that they're all fit to play at their best?
2023 for me was also the year of fitness because I wanted to get into diverse methods of trying to keep myself fit. So perhaps fit hai to hit hai. So that's the message that Ayaz Memon is also giving to
One
Team
way of
India.
doing it is to be on free hit every time, regularly.
But the next time around, we're going to see if Ayaz bhai actually practices what he preaches. And that is until next time. Muche to Ayaz bhai jisi ho, varna na ho. Bye Ayaz bhai. Always.
Take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Always a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you.